Alright guys, good morning. Jack Gleason with MajorLeagueTrading.com, and this is the MLT Power Hour. Levels have been updated in the Discord, so check them out. They're there. There is the open there. Oh, okay, let me get that power hour. Oh, you're right, MLT power hour. I hate it when that happens. Sometimes I do it and it just doesn't save. MLT power hour. Let me know if this link works. Can anybody hear me in here? I bid off the open. Did anybody who catch Perry's plant? Did he talk about an underwater close? How to get a chance to watch it? I think there was an underwater close yesterday, but that's kind of Perry's thing. But in the S&P, that underwater close would be above 28.26. See if he talked about it. I know the poor guy's sick. See if we can breach through that resistance. Let's see. Alright, I'm gonna draw this same anchor new low here in the Russell. Russell's got a same anchor low at 1548 and 1558.8. I'm gonna hit him up and ask him. So the S&P is approaching its first resistance level, and that's anticipated at 2475. But if we can get through it, really changes the tone. For me, it was just like, yesterday was one of those things. It's like good news is bad news. Like what's going on? That was some of the best news the market could have ever heard yesterday. That the Fed's not going to, like, the market is hooked on low interest rates. For anybody who like doesn't follow that closely, the whole world is revolving around these super low interest rates and like easy access to credit, and the Fed basically decides whether or not they want to make it harder or not to get that credit. And yesterday they decided to not make it harder or not make it quote unquote more expensive. So that is great news for equities. Great news. And that's why we rallied so aggressively. And then interesting enough, we gave it all back. I don't know why. It was like as soon as Jerome Powell stopped talking, it was lights out. And the tape said it. It was technical setups to the downside. And you really can't be biased about what came out and what didn't, because it doesn't matter at the end of the day. But it just goes to show, sometimes we have like really, really good news, and then the market perceives it to be otherwise. That's why you really just don't even know. Perry has confirmed it is not an underwater close because we did not trade below the bell low. So if we would have traded below the bell low, it would have been underwater close. I was just thinking it. I was incorrect in my analysis of that. So if there's no sellers here, we're going to begin moving into value. I think we actually are right at value area low, and then we could potentially really get all the way up to 28s. 38s. In some form of pattern or another. If this extension holds, though, I mean, these higher time frame draws would still be in play. You can see this Nasdaq really acting well out of the low, and there was nobody home at that 50% in the S&P. Nobody home. So at this point in time, this is where I would look to enter in to what would be a potential, like, this is just a squeeze, straight squeezing. Basically, the other thing you can look at, like when we got back above this 28-20-75, like that is that higher time frame long level, right? And then it's just lights out for shorts. At this point in time, I would think we hold extensions from that level. So that high, which also lines up with the higher time frame 50 to high, should hold here on a pullback, and I am anticipating us to get up to 28.38 here. But the bulls are back in town. Just super aggressive bidding. $27.5.
Order pending.
Is where I would be looking here. And that'll line up with the close of yesterday. Yeah, you're in the right place. So Alex, you probably can't hear me. If we break this extension, yes, but the thing I always consider is where is the momentum. You gotta respect. You gotta respect what's going on currently. You know, I can have every single draw I want on my screen. It's where are people. I mean, right now, that market open and there was nothing but buyers. You know, we've had nothing but people buying this market. So there's going to be reactions at a lot of the levels that we're able to determine. Like, you know, the way the technical analysis is that, you know, I teach with the Fibonacci method, and, you know, Eric teaches with level to level. That is a way to determine support and resistance. But as a trader, you have to analyze the tape, analyze like the overall bias of the market, and the only way to do that is like the speed at which we're moving, in what direction. You know, like right now off the open, there's nobody but buyers. So I would not put as much weight. You know, you want, if all of a sudden we start breaking extensions, then okay. You know, if we start breaking extensions, that's one thing, but if we don't, I mean, we're just gonna it's just loading up for a bigger squeeze. That is a pretty aggressive move off the open here. Like, real aggressive. I don't think there will be any resistance until 38s. I could be wrong, of course, but you know, that would be my overall thought. And I mean, the Nasdaq just slices through its short. So like, if we're really gonna sell off, we wouldn't have broken that 61.8 yesterday. So a lot of times, like if we break that 61.8 like we did yesterday, like we need to come back up for a retest, and like respect it. I mean, the Nasdaq here, like I said this morning, it's just gonna be the strongest market. It's just what it is. And there's just like no offers there. Look at that Nasdaq go. Woof. As of right now, I don't have any plans, but you know, I won't take anything off the table, like, but as of right now, you know, I'm stepping back for a bit. I'll probably at least put out some like free content in the future, just to help you guys out, but just not as frequent as I do right now. All right, here's the 50% retracement of this gold extension. So we'll see. You know, I would go down to like a 512 tick, and then see if, you know, we can get back above like 13.15, 13.16. This extension will eventually trade, I believe. Maybe after we'll trade 38s and then come into it. I'm just going to keep dragging it up. But right now, there's nobody here. Selling this market. And that's, I think that entire move yesterday was just like a big old fakie. Like that move down, like when we started moving down, I mean, we broke and then we held shorts. I mean, a lot of people got hosed, and there was nothing bearish about that announcement. Like, it was an incredibly bullish statement. Appreciate it, Jose. I'm gonna miss you guys too. Might come all the way down into this high to high. In fact, that's probably what I would measure if it holds. We need to confirm in gold, otherwise we're getting a 1311. I mean, the Nasdaq's gonna take yesterday's high out here. Just nothing but aggressive. All right, maybe now we'll get a little bit of a pullback into like too many lines. Hide you, I don't need you. Oh, is it? Thanks for keeping us on top of it, Rob. Like, never look at stocks anymore. Wow, Apple trading 192. I cannot believe that stock was at 148 bucks. I was like screaming to buy it. It's like, this is ridiculous. Apple, like, nobody's getting rid of their iPhones. Almost dropped $100 from its high. Its low is 142. Its high was 233. So basically a 90-point drop in a matter of a few months. And the world's most valuable company. This thing is going. All it does is load up for new targets. It's like sooner or later. It's crazy. Crazy stuff. Beast. All of those stocks, I mean. Thanks, Mark. Then a leap is the way to play it. There, you know, I don't personally have access to them, but I know they have Apple futures. I think they trade on like, they're like OTC markets though. Oil going to 13.11. We could go through this 28.38. Who knows? I mean, we could close at highs today. I'm debating whether or not I want to take off my position, but I think I'll get in another entry. It's important to take your targets. It's just going to be enough to pop through these highs. We're going to take out highs, and then we're going to pull back. Clockwork. This is a beast move. We'll see what happens at 28.38, and I think we'll eventually get this extension. But man, we could go straight through it if this is a straight up trend day. But I don't know. 28.38's resistance I want to respect. As a target. I mean, if that blows through, it'll be lights out. I am like really debating whether or not I want to hold. This is where the greed starts taking over. Alright, well, I'm out of partially that position. There's 28.38s to the tick. If we crush through this level, we will probably take out yesterday's high. I would think we at least get a pullback to 31.5. Nasdaq test of the negative 61 from yesterday. We'll find out very soon how quickly we get through that. But look at that, 38s to the tick, and then for me, 31.5 would be the deeper pullback there. And if we can't get back below 34s, 33.75, then that's just like, that's crazy bullish. If we cannot get below 34s, I believe we will be above yesterday's high before the end of the day. If we can't get back below 34s here, because that means this halfway back, like, didn't even have enough pressure to break a micro series. 31.5, a pullback to 31.5 and 29.5 would be totally normal. And if those break, the thing is, guys, like, you have to remember, like, the tape yesterday was like we went straight up then straight down. So, you know, it's important that the extensions hold. Otherwise, you know, we could literally go, I mean, it's just that type of tape where you can go straight up, hit a resistance, and go straight back down. And that's the type of stuff people really get chopped up in. So you need to know, like, what levels are holding, what levels are not. Didn't get back below 34 as yet. Sold into the next micro short. I'll keep you updated, Andrew. I appreciate that, man. Like all these messages of gratitude, I really appreciate. Not even backing off an inch. There will be another entry. It's going to be important that we hold above 27. If I like, this is one of those things. It's like we got to continue to go straight up. Like when we start going straight up, when we stop going straight up is when it gets a little tricky. So like, you got to understand the points that we need to go straight up from. That's when people get chopped up, because then the tape becomes messy, and like basically there's trends within a trend, and right now like this trend out of lows is like ridiculous. I mean, we are from that overnight low straight up to like 25 points. 28.1375 trades 28.38s in a matter of, let's see, that was 8:30 East Coast time, and then we're an hour and a half later straight up 25 points. So pullback should stick above 29.5. If they stay above 34s here, that's like super aggressive. I wouldn't even expect that. And of course, we're going to hold them. Anytime like we get these, this is basically like an FU trade, right? Because we take out lows, like everyone's like, oh man, like I think about like the entire psychology of this move. It's like, oh sick, no interest rates. Wait, why are we selling? There's no way, we're gonna hold that low. Oh my god, we just took out that low, we're going to zero. And then everybody gets short an hour before the open. We open, we start going into the open, we cross back above the support, and now everybody who had their stop below the prior day's low is now out. So you got weak hands dipping, they're leaving, they're packing up, they're throwing in the towel. We're going lower. That's what they're thinking. And then when you start seeing these moves, these types of moves where it is literally a straight bid, like you almost just gotta hit the offer and then just put a stop in and just hope we keep going. Like that's like the only way to get in. And like the first pullback here was this 34, and like that's when I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to buy it, but it's like when, especially at the open, because near the open is when you're gonna get the the quickest amount of orders. But we'll see. We might get all the way through like 44s. I do think we eventually trade this extension. I just don't know if it's in the second half of the day or first thing here this morning. We could get up. Yesterday's resistance, the 46 to 49 level, I think will be tough to get through. So maybe we'll see a bigger pullback once we trade that. And then the other situation is we literally, I mean, if we hold this 50, which right now it doesn't look like we will, you got to be aware there's always two sides to the tape. Like this is really, really bullish here, but yesterday we were really, really bullish. And then all of a sudden, bids just dropped. They were like, nah. And it really, the only way to do it just had to be a tape read. This is a ridiculous move. Just so we know, upside targets here are 28.66. On the higher time frame, they're still up there. In the ES. Gold is something to watch down here. If we can build, I want to see a long sequence and a micro build. Clear back above 13 half, and then look maybe for a long entry. I mean, it's possible we get it today. Just the way, if we continue to move at this pace, that's another 70-point move. I mean, we've had volatility basically increase over the last 2 days. It's an old halfway back that broke. So this is the halfway back short that just ripped through the prior day. There was nobody there yesterday, but then for whatever reason we, flipped around. Sellers came in and we dropped it into a new low. So a lot of times when you have these fibs that break, they just come back into play the next day. So and it's a really big draw. So it's the high to the yesterday's low. We broke it, but you can see it's coming back in. There is people looking at this, taking positions. Yeah, let me check value area high here because we might not stop until we get it. It is just 28.41 half. It's going to be at value area high level and then really above value. Russell's traded value area high already. Nasdaq's through it. Dow not through it, hasn't touched it. So Dow and S&P are behind it. Boy, oh boy. This is a pure trend day. Similar, I mean, this day could end up the last time we hadn't had one of these in a while, and then we had one last Monday, or not last Monday, I guess it was 2 Mondays ago, where it was straight up the entire day, right? That's what we're looking like right here. Straight up the entire day so far. We're not able to get an iota of a pullback. Just be aware of where these, this is the current extension anchor. It's 31.5 to high. Okay? But if that breaks, you're going to go, this is what's going to be in play. And that to me is like the ideal pullback. But if we have a trend day where we go straight up, we won't get it. We'll see oil came for a nice retest of the 38% retracement of its extension and is working its way up. Sooner or later, like, we got, well, the one thing to me that's clear is don't try to short this. That's a freaking move. Yeah, Apple is just ripping. I mean, when you get a stock like that to move like that, and then look at, like, I'm looking at this weekly chart in Apple, like, I mean, that thing's going to 207 before it has any major resistance. All right, so getting a little bit of back off here, off this target. This 1600 tick. See if we break below 34s again, then it's 30. I'm gonna have to see how this ends up trading. You can see in gold the accumulation here, but it, you know, we still need a pop. Otherwise, yesterday gold, you know, the crappy part about yesterday is, like, I was looking long gold here, and I got stopped out yesterday a few times. I just felt like it was gonna rip higher, and it was just like they shook everybody out. It was just like quick move down, consolidation, fast move down, big shakeout, accumulation, Sideways movement, FOMC, rocket ship. Rocket ship. 20 points from that low. That's big. You cannot get back down through this same anchoring line. It's just so aggressive. Gold gets above 1313, and you can look for pullbacks. S&P is holding aggressively, same anchoring high. Should rotate up into like 2846 is here. Speed continues. Oil tests the bottom of the range, it's a bounce. Big moves start when they look like this when they start. They're just like rocket ships. And Nasdaq's going to be approaching the prior day's high as our leader. Who is your leader? The Nasdaq. Gold cannot crack 1313, so it'll continue lower until it does, possibly even the full halfway back at 1309. I mean, might not even hold that. But you gotta respect shorts until they break. Once they break, you can look long, but don't be premature. Yeah, that's why it's so important to like just wait for the break. You save a lot of stop outs just looking at that opposing trend. When that opposing trend breaks, it becomes much safer to take a long. Then there's the completion of the negative 23 of the extension. Get rid of that other draw. We're just not coming into it right now. And then the full 61 halfway back from the prior day will break. At 43s. I'll draw extension to extension if we blow through a negative 61 on the intraday. So we would have to get all the way up to like 47s before I went extension to extension. Intraday extension to extensions can be pretty darn tricky. Like right now we just traded a negative 23 and we're backing off of it. So it would be a same anchor new high. And then if this breaks, we're going back to basically this extension, which is the first extension a trade, lines up with the higher time frame halfway back long. We would pull into that 38% retracement, and that would be down at 34. So it'll be a pullback here, and then hopefully a continuation. But if we don't, then what will happen typically is we'll consolidate on the aggressive extension, and then we'll dive down into the lower level, take traders out, and then continue in the path of least resistance, which is currently a higher. And this market, the way it acts, I mean, this is a market that should get through the current highs of the year. And gold comes down for another test here in this halfway back long, so we'll see if it can now get back above its 13, and then gold would be, in the category of potential. And then it's just bulls the whole. All right, guys, I got to pick up this call here. One moment.